everybody, it's Larry Steinhouse, and this is the Larry Steinhouse Show. I am so excited. You know why? Because anytime I talk to anybody who can teach me how to get money, I want to learn about that. So I've got a really cool guest on today. I've got Phil Winn over here. So Phil Winn has helped thousands of entrepreneurs obtain hundreds of millions of dollars in business financing. And business financing is definitely something I want to talk about, that's for sure, right? And Phil has had the privilege of training under some of the most highly regarded SBA lenders to fine-tune his expertise in the areas of franchise financing, SBA lending, conventional lending, and alternative financing. Phil leverages his interest in entrepreneurship, knowledge of finance, and his dedication to helping others to facilitate loan approval for entrepreneurs. He has also developed streamlined process for business loan qualification, business plan development, and feasibility analysis. So, first thing I want to do, Phil, I got to ask you, obviously I know the answer, but I want to know, let the audience know, what the heck is an SBA loan?
Sure. So a lot of people want to start a business or buy a franchise or just get into the business world. So an SBA loan enables them to get financing even if it's a brand new business. If you go to the typical bank, you say, hey, I want to open a car wash or something like that. They're going to say, okay, I need a couple of years worth of tax returns and real estate and lots of experience. But with an SBA loan, you can say, hey, I'm new. I've got some experience in this. I've been working in a car wash, let's say, but I want to get a startup loan. So SBA enables you to do that. It also enables you to buy a franchise. Or let's say the guy down the street is tired of running his automobile shop and you want to buy it. That enables you to buy that business without really collateral. And sometimes you can have minimal experience in that. So it enables a lot of people to get into business and entrepreneurship without having real estate and a tons of years of experience.
So I'm fascinated. So an SBA loan. So this is a loan that it's just like getting almost sounds like an FHA loan. For how people can't get houses, right?
Correct.
They can now get a house.
Yep.
So this is a government loan. Is that correct? Or a government subsidized loan?
It is a government-backed loan. So government provides generally a 75% guarantee, which makes banks much more comfortable to make that loan. So if it's if it's unsecured or something like that, that's pretty much one of the biggest challenge. People say, hey, I want to open a hair salon and I'm going to be at a strip center. Well, there's no collateral there. You're renting. Mm-hmm. So the bank's going, hey, why am I going to make you this loan? There's no collateral. Well, an SBA loan says, hey, you can't, SBA doesn't allow lenders to decline it based on lack of collateral. So you can start your salon, you can buy a salon, you can get your business going regardless of collateral. So it's really great vehicle to get people into entrepreneurship.
Now wait a minute. Okay, so this just sounds too easy. Is it that people don't believe it, or is it that people really don't know how to do this? Because I'm going to tell you right now, give me $1 million.
Sure. So let's put the plan together and figure out, okay, how are you going to use that $1 million? Or what kind?
I'm going to go to Hawaii. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm going to build my business really big in Hawaii. No, I'm kidding. But no. And the reason I say this is so there's always room for expansion in anything I'm doing. So what kind of businesses are qualifying? What kind of businesses they can say we really don't want to do that? Because I'm kidding, when I say I'm going to go to Hawaii with $1 million, of course I am, right?
Right.
You have me $1 million, I'm taking off. I'm changing my name. It's it's now Joe Stevenson. Instead of Larry Steinhouse.
That's right. Exactly. We do get those requests every so often saying, "Hey, whoa, I got $1 million. I'm going on a vacation immediately." So generally, you've got to be a for-profit company, so it can't be a nonprofit. Okay. It also has to be owner-occupied, so you got to be actively running that business.
Okay.
So a lot of real estate investors will call me and say, hey, can I use an SBA loan to buy commercial or real estate?
Sure.
It does not qualify for investment real estate.
So what about my partner who owns a building? It's a 47-unit executive suite center that his wife runs it. Would he have qualified for an SBA loan because of that?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. So those do.
He might be interested in that.
Do qualify.
Okay.
Because I talked to Phil actually a couple of years ago.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah,
So you know Phil. Okay. Yeah.
So they definitely qualify as long as you're actively providing services and stuff like that.
So the Larry Steinhouse Show could use an extra $1 million.
Exactly. So as long as we can figure out how we were going to deploy that capital and it's not going to Hawaii, we can make that eligible.
Right.
So,
No, that's pretty good. All right. So somebody wants to open a business. What's the first thing they need to do to open a business to be even ready for an SBA loan?
Sure. So generally, it's a good idea to take a look at your credit. So a lot of people are in the real estate game. They own a lot of real estate, and they say, okay, now I want to do something else. I've got lots of tenants, and I just have a little bit more free time, so I want to open, a liquor store or whatever. So they will either go in two main directions. They'll either want to buy an existing business that's out there, and they'll talk to a bunch of brokers and say, hey, all these businesses are for sale. Are they interested? Or they'll say, hey, maybe I want to open a franchise business. So I want to open a Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. So there are two tracks that a lot of people go. And then the third is obviously they can start a business or expand an existing business. But getting started, you want to look at your resume. You're actually applying to be the CEO of a company. So you want to make sure the resume speaks to you running a business, that you've had employees, that you've handled the books, you've handled all sorts of different aspects of running business. You're no longer applying for a job. You're applying for running that business. So make sure the resume looks looks to the part. Make sure credit is looking good. And
so what kind of credit score would somebody need to apply for an SBA loan?
Sure. Generally like a 640 or better. So not too hard
average,
to have a 640.
Yeah, an average number. Okay, sure.
So pay down the credit cards, and that usually bumps your score quite a bit. So let's see what else. So we've got the resume, we've got the credit. So really find something that you're going to be passionate about. So if you're just going to get into a salon and you have no interest in running, having people cut your hair or whatnot, don't do that business. It's going to come across real. So put together a little plan on saying, okay, I see this company, looks like something I can really grow. I'm really passionate about it. It'll go a long way with that business plan. Put some numbers behind that, some projections, and say, hey, if this was under my ownership, I can sell this much lemonade. This is how much I'm going to charge, and this is why people are going to buy it.
So most business, and I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And most businesses fail immediately. And when I say immediately, it's usually within the first 3 years. I've had them fail in 3 months.
Yeah.
I've had them fail in a year, and I've had them fail in 3 years. And I've had some that gone a little bit longer. I had an IT company for many years. 9/11 put me out of business. So so how does and I couldn't project these numbers to anyone.
Right.
I have no idea. I mean, I opened up a business with the intention of this being the greatest thing. I'm going to make $10 million next year, right?
Yep.
So how do you guys, how do you help people navigate through that to make sure that their business isn't pie in the sky?
Sure. So we do a very close evaluation of competition. We really need to understand who's in the market, who you're competing with, what are your advantages, and why are you going to be better than them. Also, marketing is everything. So you got to be on social media all the time, promoting the brand and the company so people are coming in that door.
Oh, that'll help make the business successful. I get that. Believe me. Hello. I'm on social media constantly trying to. I mean, I drum up a lot of students and clients from social media. I love it. But the real question though is like, so how do I go to the SBA and say, hey, listen, I'm on social media all day long. I'm talking about the Larry Steinhouse Show. I'm talking about investor schooling, whatever it is that I want to get a loan for.
Yeah.
How do I prove to them that I'm actually going to make money in this business?
Yeah. So for a lot of lenders are nervous with startup businesses.
Sure.
So it takes a lot of coaching to make sure it sounds like they're going to be successful. And that's something that I spend a lot of time with to make sure that the resume speaks, that they have the experience, their business plan makes sense, the projections make sense. And then it's, you're going to hire the right people to run the company. So I'm pretty good. That's kind of my expertise, is walking them through the process to make sure they are going to get approved, and it's just not a pie in the sky conversation.
So when I think about somebody like yourself, a lot of times when I go for housing loans, real estate loans, I always say, hey, listen, I don't want to talk to a broker. I want to talk to a banker. And the reason I say that is the bankers, to me, are the people who know the underwriters.
Correct.
So my question to you is, do you know the underwriters?
Absolutely.
Oh, that is awesome.
So the key to any lender success.
I'm going to get $1 million.
The key to being a successful business lender, as myself, such as myself, is knowing credit, knowing what the underwriter's like.
Exactly. Sure.
So once I figure out who the underwriter's going to be and who the decision makers are going to be, I can pretty much cater my conversation to help out my borrowers.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So, and I do a lot of coaching, say, hey, this person's interested in this aspect, so I really want you to highlight this, and that's how you get approved.
All right, so we've got entrepreneurs all over the place. You know, they come to us all the time. They're I don't know, anything from a coaching business to, you know, we just talking about MLMs, of course, but then, you know, obviously that wouldn't be a good SBA loan. I got that.
Yeah.
But, you know, but to, like, you know, just some off the wall businesses, you know, so they get a hold of you. They say, hey, listen, I got this business. Do you give them some counsel and say, maybe this isn't such a great business, or wow, this is going to be a home run? So
it's great to work with expansions, people that say, hey, I've got something and I want it to take to the next level. So
I have a feeling you and I are going to have a conversation about that. Maybe not today, but honestly, you know, like the investor schooling, and I know I'm going for a tangent, but investor schooling, we're growing so fast that I don't know if you saw upstairs, we can't fit the people in the room anymore.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, so
that is incredible.
It's fantastic, and my favorite part about it is the fact that we're really helping people.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite part. So we actually need to figure out what we're going to do next, and it's going to be find a location. It's going to be find some more instructors, and we have to put some people on salary, and we know that's going to cost us a lot of money. So we will be having a conversation, and the more I talk to you about this, the more excited I am that the possibilities really do exist. So let's even, you know, without revealing too much information, so I come to you and I say, okay, listen, this is what I have. I have a business that made, you know, whatever, it made this much money last year. I project it's going to make 50% more next year, which is pretty much our number. Actually, it'd be more than that. It's what I'm really projecting. You know, let me just use that as an example. And it looks good to you. And let's come up with a number. Let's say, I don't know, let's say company does 50,000. You know, a lot lower than we're doing, but company does 50,000. Yeah. And we think we can do 100,000 next year, but I want a $50,000 loan. Is that something that's feasible? Is that something that makes sense?
Sure. So this is what we do. So I say, all right, this is where you are, and what is it going to take you to get to that 100 million? What do you need? Is it a larger space? Is it a piece of equipment? Is it working capital? We figure out what that item is, tangible or intangible, and then basically put some dollars behind that and say, look, they've already proven that they can make money by doing this, and they're cramped in this little space, and they want to go 2 times the size, and with that they'll have the capacity to do so much more volume, because now you can get more people in here, you can sell more tickets, whatever. Sure. And so we just spell out that story and say, look, right now they can only get 100 people in here, they want to get 200 in here, and it's an easy story to tell, and it's so much fun, and the underwriters get it, and it's if you can pitch it that way, it's going to get approved. So are we offering up personal guarantees on all these loans, or is it always in the business only, or how does that work? Sure. With an SBA loan, personal guarantees are required. Okay. So generally the only times you're not providing that is maybe in multifamily lending or large transactions where they've got lots of tenants and there's a low risk of default, or you can get new tenants in there. So other than small businesses, generally you've got a personal guarantee.
Okay, yeah, and that's pretty common now. Yeah. But here's the question. So sometimes, and you may not even know the answer to this. So a personal guarantee and a co-maker on a loan are two very different things. A co-maker on a loan shows up on your personal credit, where a personal guarantee does not show up on your personal credit. I always ask this very specifically because I always want to hide my business loans from my personal credit.
Sure. So it's some of the community banks out there will tie it to your credit, but in general, 99.9% of the time, you'll never see any SBA financing on your personal credit.
That's great.
You're providing personal guarantee, but nobody knows.
Right, exactly, and that's the fun part. And people don't know this. I mean, going off on just a little bit, some information for people to know is when you have an LLC or you have a corporation, buy your cars in the corporation if you have a car loan, especially because, number one, you're building credit in your corporation, which is great to do, number one. Right. But on top of that, your car loan doesn't show up on your personal credit. And people don't understand the advantage of this. Yeah, you pay a little more in car insurance. There's no doubt you pay a little more in car insurance. You don't even pay more interest, which surprised me too. Okay. I mean, the cool part is it doesn't show up on your personal credit. So buy all your cars in your business name. Buy everything you can in your business name so it doesn't show up on your personal credit. And I think, and now, so if I go for an SBA loan and I have 3 LLCs,
Yep.
you're going to ask me only for the LLC that I'm doing business with, that you're doing business with, and my personal credit. You're not going to see the other loans.
SBA does look at.
They do.
They do look at everything. So they do. And basically, but so let's say you pay yourself $100,000 salary, but your expenses are really $50,000 or something like that. We'll add back the difference to make sure globally you can satisfy the loan and all your personal needs. And then on expansions, it's projection based. So
Correct.
If you're going to do so much more in volume, so it's really kind of out the door on your expenses because you can project what you're actually going to generate.
Okay, so my business next year will be as big as Amazon.com.
Excellent.
So can I have $1 trillion?
Unfortunately, the SBA is capped at $5 million.
That's all?
But that's it. Unless you're buying commercial real estate,
I was
then
all
we can go,
excited about that.
Quite a bit higher.
So what kind of skin in the game will I need? So if I'm going to buy a $2 million commercial building and make it the headquarters of Investor Schooling, because I'm working, because you said I have to work there. Yes, I have to be part of the business, right?
Yep.
And I make it the headquarters of Investor Schooling. How much skin do I have to be for a $2 million building?
Generally, a minimum of 10%.
That's not bad either.
And what's great is a lot of that can come from investors. So you
that's
can even
interesting.
have people that own less than 20% be investors in your business. I typically like 15%. They come in, they give you a good portion of your down payment, and you have a couple percent into the deal, and you get yourself $1 million building.
That is fantastic.
Yes.
I'm telling you, this whole concept is it's opening my eyes to an idea that I never even thought was available to me, and I'll bet you get that a lot.
Oh yeah.
So, what was your most exciting client? Anybody? I mean, I realize maybe you can't talk about it, but if you can talk about one, that's great. Or you maybe give some kind of an example of one.
Sure. So what's really fun about my job is I get the back door of every kind of business out there, from natural or organic chemical companies or like lotions and stuff like that.
You didn't let Monsanto money, did you?
What's that?
You didn't let Monsanto money, did you?
I did not.
Okay, good.
But so I do daycares and restaurants and I was just talking to someone the other day who's looking to sell their business and they do crime scene cleanup.
Cool. Wow.
So you just have no idea what's going to be at the other end of the line, and that's what's really fun about my job. So
Wow.
So it's amazing how much money is in that business.
So now again, what do you do? You charge a percentage of the loan, or does the bank pay you points, or does the person pay you?
Sure. So SBA loan is a pretty inexpensive product. You pay typically a $2,500 packaging fee to the lender, and then there is the guarantee fee, which is basically an insurance premium for that loan. But it's generally a pretty inexpensive product, and there's no financial covenants with an SBA other than you have to pay the loan. So if you go to the bank and apply for a regular commercial loan, every quarter they're looking at your numbers and saying, do I want to keep this client or not?
Right.
And it's really nerve-wracking. 2009, a lot of people lost their businesses when due to financial covenants.
They call the loan, yeah.
They call the
they
loan.
What do you mean? I've been making my payments all.
Absolutely.
Well, we just don't think we think you might not be able to make any money. Well, what proof do you have that we just think that, and we decided to call the loan.
Exactly.
That was
so
crazy.
that doesn't happen in
It was
SBA.
crazy.
So they don't care if you start a daycare and turn it into a chicken farm. If you're still making your loan payments, you're in good standing with SBA.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So now, what are some of the downfalls of an SBA loan?
Sure. So one of the things that comes up pretty common is they do look at personal assets for collateral. A lot of the time we are financing a company that leases space, or they don't, the building doesn't value out enough to cover the whole loan amount. So they will look at personal real estate. So people will be surprised that they want to take a second or third on their personal residence. One thing I tell people, if you have a lot of equity in your house, go get yourself a home equity line of credit before you're applying for a business loan. You might as well tap into that equity, get yourself a HELOC, and then you have that available to you in the event you want some additional working capital. So go get that. That's your first line. And then go to the SBA lender and get financing. There's a good chance that they'll file a lien behind that HELOC,
sure.
But you could have a zero balance on that HELOC, and it could be a $100,000 line,
brilliant.
and you're still in third position. So it's a great way to protect your equity,
sure.
but also meet SBA requirements with collateral.
Now, are they looking for any equity in the house? I mean, if I have a house worth $300,000 and I owe $350,000, will they still attach the house?
It's lender discretion.
Okay.
SBA requires a lien if there's 25% or more equity. However, a lot of times you've got a HELOC, which takes you up to 90%, even though it's not used.
Right.
Sometimes the lender will take it. It's lender discretion at that point. But it's pretty common.
You got the wheel spinning, man. I'm telling you, this is great stuff. Matter of fact, we're doing a seminar on money on March 23rd.
Okay.
We should talk about you being a guest here because
Excellent.
this would be an awesome thing to talk about. This is one thing I know a lot about money, a lot about getting loans. I knew zero about SBA until you walked in,
Okay.
and I am super excited about what can happen and what you can do with this for us and for some of our students.
Great. Yeah, it's a huge, you can use it for pretty much anything. So
what about the crazy people like me that buy everything in a trust? How does that work? So my business would be in a trust. Actually, the business. So happens that most of my business are in LLCs,
Okay.
but they could be in a trust. Will they still lend?
yes, so the trustee on a trust would be the guarantor on that.
Right, absolutely.
And
And you
that's-
guys get that, right?
Yep.
You have no idea how many banks I walk into and say, "Yeah, I'm the trustee on the trust. I'm going to personally guarantee." I'm like, well, "You don't own it." I'm like, "You don't understand. No one owns it.
That's right.
There's a piece of paper in my office that owns this building. Do you want me to have the piece of paper signed, or would you like the trustee to sign? You don't own it."
Same thing as the LLC and everything else.
Well,
so.
the LLC is a little bit different because
Yeah.
they can at least look on the internet and see who owns the LLC. Where a trust, the only people who know it are the people who have the trust,
Right.
Which I always find fascinating too, and then we redact the beneficiary, and then they get even more upset. Who owns this? The piece of paper. You got to explain this to these bankers that have no idea. Anyway, I went off on a tangent.
Yeah.
I'm on my soapbox again.
So, yeah, we always recommend lots of entities, one for real estate, one for your business, keep them separate.
Sure, absolutely. Wow. Okay. So, number one. So, how do people get a hold of you?
Sure. So they can get a hold of my cell phone's usually the best.
Okay.
And that's 215-375-6434. And you can get my information at philwinn.com.
Yeah, spell that for people.
It's PHILWINN.com.
Very cool, man. So we got about a minute left. Anything you want to tell anybody that I didn't ask you about that they should know about SBA loans?
If you're looking to buy a business or start a franchise or really anything entrepreneurship, I can likely help you or put you in the tell you kind of what to do to make that dream a reality.
So do you consult too, or is it just for this, just for the SBA loans?
So I do give a lot of advice all the time, and hopefully at the end of the day they come back and I can help them get financing. They do, give them advice. I also put out a book a couple years ago called Approved, and it basically walks people through on how to apply for an SBA loan and get approved.
That right there is powerful. You waited to the last minute to tell us about the book, huh?
I guess so. Yes.
Okay, so they can find the book on Amazon, maybe.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's pretty much everywhere, or at philwinn.com.
Very cool, man. Wave goodbye to everybody. Thanks so much, Phil. I appreciate it. Awesome stuff.